Real Estate Pro Talk is a live radio talk show dedicated to educating its listeners on the entire spectrum of real estate matters. Part of the American dream is owning a home or investment property, or perhaps even becoming a real estate agent yourself. Paul Vanas and his team of real estate professionals have over 250 combined years of experience in the industry. In other words, we can make it happen for you. Why go down the road less traveled when we can put you directly on the real estate superhighway? Whether buying or selling in today's complicated real estate market, or if you just need advice about jumping into the real estate business for a career change, you'll need a decisive edge based on experience. Call Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144 for a free, no-obligation consultation. That's Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Vanas, and welcome to Real Estate Pro Talk. This is a real estate-oriented program which will cover a variety of topics every Friday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. here on WOON Radio. Some of the topics we'll be talking about during our time together will be how to buy and sell a home, how to choose a real estate agent, how to choose a mortgage broker, flipping real estate, staging a home for sale, private mortgage financing, and a whole host of other subjects. I've been in the real estate business coming up on 40 years now, of which I own a real estate brokerage company, a real estate school, and a land development company. All of the knowledge that we're going to try to impart on you today is based on the continuing education classes that I teach licensed real estate agents, along with my personal experience and those of our expert guests. The goal in doing so you'll have the information in hand when you're ready to talk real estate. You can call us today at 766-1240 and ask any questions, or you can call us after the fact at 265-6144. And of course, we have a special offer today, so I would grab a pencil and paper and be prepared to write down the special offer, because it would be certainly worth your while to do so. Today, I'm pleased to have Sam and Danielle Alba of the Alba team at HomeSmart Professionals. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you having us.
Welcome. Yeah, I'm glad to have you. And you guys have been in the real estate business for a few years now, and I see your signs everywhere when I'm driving around. That was one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because you're a team, right? You work together?
Yes, we work together along with another 13 agents. We're a total of 15 agents today.
Wow.
On the Alba Group, yes.
15?
15 is a large team, yes.
Wow, that's like your own company. I mean, that's like...
we want to keep it a team, but yeah, we're getting close to being the size of most smaller brokerages.
Wow, that's great. So out of the 15 people, are they agents, or you have administrative people that help you out, or...
Counting 15 agents, we do have administrators on the team as well. But
Really?
15 licensed real estate professionals.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility, because you're not only you got your own stuff that you have to deal with every day, and in your own brokerage you have, you're responsible for 15 others. It's like having 15 children. and no disrespect to the other agents, but when you manage people, that's what it's like. You're the parents, and they're the children, right?
No, I think you hit it right on the head. It's not a part-time job, Paul, as you know. No, we stay busy, and you know what? The team stays busy, so you're right. There's a lot of management that goes on the back end.
Oh, I'm sure, because when I had my big office years ago, I think, let's see, I have 13,000 minutes a month was on my cell phone. I used to look at the bill at the end of the month, and it was crazy, the amount of time I spent on the phone just putting fires out and answering questions. And then, of course, you have the regular office questions. They call, where's the paper towel? We're all out of this or that, the pencils, and, crazy stuff. I'm sure you must run into something similar, right?
Well, the only difference now is that besides the talk time on your cell phone, you have to be texting and email while you're talking.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's even worse.
You got to do both now today.
That's even worse, yeah. Matter of fact, at one point in my listings, I was putting in call or email only, no text, Skype, Yahoo Messenger,
right.
Morse code, smoke signals, because you never get anything done, right?
Yeah. I tell agents all the time, what's wrong with just emails and text messages and phone calls? We got to implement another 10 ways of communications.
Yeah,
you're right. I can't keep up. Something's hanging out in the instant messenger for about a week before I catch it.
Well, that's the way business is now, because if you have to change with the times. I had to change with the times. I used to put no text messages, and now it's almost like you have to. It's no choice. You have no choice in the matter anymore. And we all have to progress, obviously. So you two are a team, and you're also a couple, right? Which is great. Which is tough to do business in and of itself. Just ask my wife, because she got her license, and she was a licensed agent for about 10 minutes. and after working with me, she said, I'm going to find another career. But that's almost a true story. Not quite 10 minutes, but it's pretty close. But how did you guys get going? How did you start, Danielle? You started, you got into the business how? What was the progression of things? I always like to ask that question.
So I got into the business about 9 years ago. It was at the bottom of the market, and a lot of Sam's friends were actually investing in real estate, and they were using other agents. He said, why don't you go get your license and we can make some commissions here?
Right.
So I just started with doing that, and that's how I learned a lot about renovations, because we were looking at total distressed properties, and here I am today.
Wow. So, and of course, that's an education in and of itself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of agents don't learn that right off the bat. We had, Jeannie Elson Gordon we had a few weeks ago. We were talking about new construction, and she was in new construction before she became an agent, which is highly, highly unusual, because usually you become an agent and then you learn new construction like I did, but it took me about 4 or 5 years just to learn it. So that's a whole nother facet of real estate, which is good experience before you even got out of the gate, because someone can ask you, how
What's
much
a load-bearing wall, and I know which one it is.
Right. Or how much does it cost to put cabinets in? And bang, right out of the gate. How about you, Sam? How did you get going in this?
Well, to extend from Danielle's story is, like she said, most of my friends were rehabbing properties and buying investment property, as so was I.
Yeah.
And when I started trying to refer business to Danielle, she would definitely retain, but some people still wanted me to go look at the house.
Right.
They still wanted to get my opinion on it.
Personal touch.
Exactly.
Right. The trust factor.
So I had no intentions on being a real estate agent. I just got my license to help the retention for Danielle. I was busy doing construction. I was busy rehabbing my properties and managing them. So I got it with the intentions of just helping retain the business in-house. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a very small part-time job.
Yeah.
The joke's on me, because today, as you know,
see what happens.
It's overtime.
All of a sudden,
right?
you're in. You're
exactly.
like the Godfather. I get in and they pull me back. Now you're in over your head, right?
Exactly. The demand was just there, so it was a fortunate position to be in.
Wow. Yeah. So, so you two got together. Were you together before you got in the business, or was this something that came after?
Before we got into the business.
Okay, so that made it a little easier, right?
And when we started out, we actually made the decision to work at separate companies.
Okay.
We wanted to
keep everything separate, keep the home life good.
That's not bad advice, right?
We thought, because we saw the challenges coming, and we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And then we ended up, over time, we said, let's go together, same brokerage, and then that's kind of where the team was birthed.
Right.
We were recruiting agents, and we said, let's just form this team, and it's just grown from there.
Wow. So have you ever been in a position where you're representing one party and Danielle's representing another party, Sam, and then you're battling it out because,
It has happened. That was interesting. That was very interesting. It did happen. I try to avoid it at all costs. Now,
It has happened.
I don't like to lose, and that's a battle I'm going to lose.
Right. Yeah. No. I was just talking. I was at a closing about an hour ago with an attorney in East Greenwich, and he was saying that he represents a party, and his daughter represents the opposite party. And, wow, how do you not take that home, right? And how do you leave that at the door at the end of the day?
That's tough.
But I feel like we've gotten to a point where we're very good with business is business. Close that door, and then it's personal life. I mean,
we do a good job
we're pretty good at
differentiating.
practicing that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you build it up? How did you go from just the two of you to 15 agents and administrators and...
Paul, I don't recruit. We don't recruit. It was a very organic growth. I've had agents approach me, ask me about the business, and interested in joining the team. And if it was the right agent and the right talent, I welcomed it.
I see.
I have turned down, but we tend to have recruited the right agents on board.
So basically, they're coming to you, right?
For the
Up
most
until this
part.
stage, yes.
Boy, it doesn't get any better than that.
I don't think anybody on the team I've actually recruited. It's people that we've had past relationships with, whether it's in the career or out of the career. And today we're working together well.
Now, are these people that already had their license, or did they go out to the pre-license class and get their license, and you kind of home grew them to match the needs of your team, or is it a combination of both?
A combination of both. I mean, most times they've expressed to us some type of interest in real estate, and then we feed them, here's where you need to get your classes, and then, of course, you're welcome to join us. But we do always encourage them, shop around. Go to other brokerages, see what they're offering. Don't feel obligated to stay with us. We want them to think that we're fair and know that we're totally transparent.
That's great.
We want them to feel that they made the right decision.
Yeah.
We don't want them to second guess it 6 months into training with the Alba Group.
Yeah.
We want them to know that they explored their options and they made the right decision once they started.
So it's the formula is working. It's obviously has worked and it's working. And
so far, always improving, always looking to grow, always looking at ad structure. But so far, I feel like we have a very good thing going. Yes.
Now, how do you guys find the market right now? Do you find it still pretty aggressive?
I feel that this fourth quarter has been great. I mean, it's been the greatest quarter of the year for the team. And for me personally, I'm doing the same amount this quarter that I've done the whole year.
Wow.
This quarter has
That's
just
huge.
exploded. Yeah.
Can you, Danielle, attribute that to anything? Is it the interest rates? Is it the weather? Is it,
The interest rates went down and that fired some people up. I also feel that there's a lot of talk of when our price is coming down, so some sellers are getting a little anxious and they're listing.
Okay.
I mean, we have sellers listing this and next week.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of, right?
Really?
Who
During
lists
the
at this
holidays.
time?
Yeah, a week before
So-
Thanksgiving. Yeah. Wow. But it happens. And I hate to bore the audience with my boring stories, but I remember years ago, and all my stories start off as years ago, by the way. I remember being out in Weston Cranston. It was snowing. It was Christmas Eve, and my wife was having a party at 6:00. And here it is. I'm 7:45. I'm still out showing the house, signing a sales agreement on the hood of the car. Thank God there were no cell phones back then, because I had to wait for the torture when I got home. But there's always a need, obviously, because there's people that the job transfers, right, and there's people that have to find housing, their house sold, and they rent or something, the apartment, and they want to go out and buy in a hurry. But I think the rates are playing a major role right now, because what are they, under 4%? Some of them are like 3.75% or something.
Yeah, again, under 4%. Was it historically low going back to that point?
History. Going back to the 40s, I think. Yeah,
exactly. I think people just jumping into the market and not really knowing the history don't understand how good that is to be able to lock in an interest rate under 4% for a 30-year mortgage.
Right.
I mean, that's phenomenal.
Right.
I remember my parents bought their first home with the variable rates and so on.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're in a good position to start off with our first home for the first-time home buyers.
Yep.
And just people that want to invest as well. But yeah, no, rates definitely play a big part.
Now, what's the type of homes do you sell primarily? Is there any kind, one house style, multifamily, single family, condominium, Danielle, that you guys?
Our team pretty much does it all. We do have people that specialize in certain areas.
Yeah.
But if we look at our closing list, we do the multis, we do the second-time larger homes, the first-time home buyer. We have some people that dabble in commercial, so we do a little bit of everything.
Do you see, based upon the phone calls that are coming in right now, like, is there any one type of property that's drawing more this time of year or than the other, or it doesn't really matter? They just people just want to get in.
A big seller this year were the two families. I have seen that a lot of first-time home buyers are leaning towards that two-family home instead of a single.
There you go.
They've smartened up. They want that rental income to help
Right.
offset the mortgage expense. So this year I do feel like we've seen a lot with the two families, I would say.
Yeah. And going back to the initial question, we work with a lot of different investors as we started. That's pretty much the reason we got into the industry, because of all the contacts we had with investors. So you have investors that really enjoy buying condos. You have investors that single families their niche, multi-families their niche, or commercial. So we get all the exposure. So when Danielle said that we kind of dabble in it all, it really is because we're exposed to it because of our main clients that invest.
So, and it's funny, you brought up something that I've been suspecting for the last year or two, because back when I started, was a young guy, it was very customary for someone to buy a 2 or 3 family house, and you live in it for so many years, and then when the time came, you either sold that house and went out and bought your single family house, or you kept it. That could potentially be a child's college education 15, 20 years from now. And then we got into that period, and of course we discussed this on the show a couple of weeks ago. We got into that period where everyone wanted to jump into a single family house right out of the get-go, 25 years old. And, there was that generation in the 80s and 90s. But I felt, you just confirmed, I felt that people are kind of going back, not everyone obviously, but there's a good group of the market that's going back to the old way where, the mortgage payment is being assisted by the rents. So that would tell me that a nice 2-family or 3-family must be worth gold right now, because if you can find them, right?
They are.
They are, and they don't last long on the market once they come on. And to add to that point, I think buyers today are just a little bit more educated in terms of managing their financing. I don't think this is a trend, but me and Danielle have seen in separate cases where we've sold couples a single-family home. 5 years, 6, 7 years later, they're calling us. We know that they're in a better financial position, but they're calling us to sell their single-family home and get into a 2-family home.
We've had quite a few of those this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Going from the single to the
it's
two.
reverse.
Yeah.
It's actually reverse.
They actually smartened up. They said, I think having this additional rental income is where we want to be in our life. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, because there's actually an advantage. I see, especially now in my life, I see an advantage of doing that because of, we were talking about before the show came on about purchasing a condo and not having to worry about your house. It's nice if you just want to pack up and go away for a weekend and you have somebody minding the house, that can call you in the event of something happening. So and plus you get the benefit of the rental income, which is that's a pretty good deal now, because rents are not cheap anymore, right?
Rents are very aggressive, going through the roof, faster than home prices value.
Yeah, rents are sky high.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, in this market, the market of this broadcast, I mean, it's common for a 2-bedroom apartment, $1,000, $1,100 a month, and some of the 3-bedroom units I've seen $1,500 a month.
Easily.
I remember when I started with my rentals, I want to say average price could have been about $800 for most of the units I managed. Today, it's over $1,000.
Yeah.
It's over $1,000, more like $11,000, $12,000. I mean, I'm sorry, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. So juxtapose that with a mortgage.
And
for every $1,000 you borrow, it's about $5 per month, $5 per thousand per month. So, if every 100,000, it's $500. So if you're borrowing $300,000 for a 3-family house, that's $1,500 a rent from one of the units practically pays your whole mortgage, right?
And I see that being a big motivator to a lot of buyers coming into the industry. Besides the interest rate, they've smartened up and they've done the math. They said, now it really makes sense for me to buy a home because I'm paying $1,200, $1,500 for rent.
Right.
So the numbers truly make sense today for you to go out and buy yourself a 2-family home or your first single-family home.
And then they get the tax write-offs and all of the associated, things associated with home ownership, which is great, which brings their net payment probably way below what they would have paid for rent anyway, which is great.
No, once you get into the tax benefits of it, yes, it just opens up a whole new world of benefits for becoming a homeowner. Depending on what tax bracket you fall in.
It's one of the last bastions of tax protection for a regular person owning a home with the tax property taxes are tax deductible, and of course mortgage interest is tax deductible. Years ago there were certain other deductions that we could take that they've eliminated, but still that mortgage interest is a huge tax deduction at the end of the year, which is fantastic.
It is, and we always know that the IRS is always going to want to give out benefits to the homeowners. They're always going to want to encourage home ownership. So you're just putting yourself in a position to absorb these benefits throughout your lifetime, or throughout the time you own these properties.
Now, you two are out there constantly, and it doesn't matter who answers this question, but what is the, like, for example, your single family buyers, Danielle, what's the biggest concern to them? Is it the location? Is it the school? Is it the fireplace in the living room, or the 2-car garage? I know if you ask, and I shouldn't say this, there's a difference between men and women, and it's not politically correct, but I used to have the men would say to me, I got to have a 2-car garage, and I got to have a basement, finished basement, because that's my cave. Where
they still say that.
The women were completely different. I mean, they had other needs, and if you could find a house that met all of those criteria, it was an instant sale. What do you see is the big draw?
So it really depends on the buyer. If it's a young family, they're asking about the schools. If it's more of like a young couple, professionals, they want to be close to usually like downtown and restaurant shops, they want that. But what we always see are, they're always asking for a 3-bedroom, no matter what the size of the family. No one wants the 2-bedroom home. They always want the 3 just in case, or an extra room. So definitely 3 bedrooms. You do have the guys and the girls asking for a garage and a man or woman cave. So either finished basement, or sometimes the garage can be converted. They always want the extra space. And open layout. I can't tell you how often we go into, especially with those one-level ranches, and they're asking, speaking of the load-bearing walls earlier, is this can I knock down this wall? And then, lucky for me, I have the knowledge. This is load-bearing. We can't open this, but we can open this one.
Really? Wow.
So that is,
of course, all those older houses are all walls. They're all little boxy rooms,
all walls,
right? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So people want the houses more contemporized, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
Wow. Now, when you say the school systems, I mean, that's a general. I understand that's general, and that could be anywhere. Everyone wants the best for their kids. But do you see the buyers willing to forego the school system for the house? The house is first and the schools are second, or vice versa?
I think that depends on the individual. We're seeing when they come in with that mindset that they're looking for a good school system, they want to be in a certain district, I think they follow through with that.
Okay.
And you know what? They actually don't get the opportunity to actually look at a bigger, better house in a different neighborhood, because they don't look. They tend to be very, very specific. Today we have more educated buyers with all the sites.
Right.
They know where they need to be, where they need to look,
and
they have their search exactly. And they don't want to see outside that district because they truly want their kids in that neighborhood.
I was just curious to see how steadfast they were holding to that, because I remember, I don't want to say years ago, but I remember a while ago, I had a buyer who was looking within a specific school district. So I was really beating the bushes looking for a house. I was actually took to knocking on doors in the neighborhood to find a house for these people. And I couldn't find one. I mean, there was just nothing available at the time. And then I finally, one popped up in the multiple listing service, and I finally called them. I said, hey, good news, a house on so-and-so street just came on the market. And they said to me, Paul, well, we bought one yesterday. And I said, well, where did you buy the house? I said, this is a crushing moment for, as you know, in real estate.
Yes.
And we bought one on so-and-so street. I said, but so-and-so street is not in that school district. She goes, yeah, but we like the house. So all of a sudden, the baby went out with the bathwater, and the house meant more than the schools. And that's why I asked that, because sometimes the buyers kind of tell you one thing that they're looking for, and then come to find out they'll do something completely different on you.
That happens too often.
It happens very often. And you know what I could suggest to that, because it does happen often, is just following up. Because they start the home buying process and they feel they want this home with 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, and then as their search continues, again they get more educated and they figure out, this works for me. I actually don't need what I thought I needed. Wow. And so following up with them, keeping that communication, right. Because they might have let you know, and I'm not getting on you, Paul, but they might have told you.
But you're right.
They might have told you that, something, I'm tired of trying to find something in this neighborhood and I just can't find it. Right. I'm willing to open up my search to a different environment.
And you're absolutely right, Sam, because the problem was with me, because I didn't let them know what I was doing on a daily basis. I assumed that they were going to be there waiting for me to call them, say, hey, I got great news, which I finally did, but I should have been smart enough at the time to say, hey, call them, you don't have to call them every day, but every 2 or 3 days, hey, look, I knocked on the doors on Elmwood Avenue or from one end to the other, to at least let them know I was working for them. It would have built some sort of loyalty, but I was the secret agent. I was just doing this stuff in the sidelines, and then all of a sudden, they walked into an open house on a Sunday, and guess what? That house was in and Paul was out. So that's the way it works. But
that does happen. But I guess in a lot of different scenarios is really just communicating with the client and staying in touch. Wow. It happens. We know it happens to all of us. It's happened to me plenty of times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just happens. That's just the way it is. Wow, that's great. Wow, we're here. We're talking with Danielle and Sam Alba of the Alba team of HomeSmart Realty, and of course, get your pencil and paper ready, because when we come back, you'll have a unique opportunity. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Real Estate Pro Talk is a live radio talk show dedicated to educating its listeners on the entire spectrum of real estate matters. Part of the American dream is owning a home or investment property, or perhaps even becoming a real estate agent yourself. Paul Vanas and his team of real estate professionals have over 250 combined years of experience in the industry. In other words, we can make it happen for you. Why go down the road less traveled when we can put you directly on the real estate superhighway? Whether buying or selling in today's complicated real estate market, or if you just need advice about jumping into the real estate business for a career change, you'll need a decisive edge based on experience. Call Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144 for a free, no-obligation consultation. That's Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144.
Okay, and we're back with Real Estate Pro Talk. I'm here with Danielle and Sam Alba of the Alba team, and of course I told you to have your pencils and paper ready. Does anyone use a pencil anymore? I don't know. That's kind of old-fashioned.
Everybody's typing it in on their phone. Taking a notes.
That's I'm showing my age. But Sam and Danielle will be more than gracious if you're looking to find out what your home is worth. If you're thinking of selling, they'll personally come by your house and take a look at it, and they'll do what's called a market analysis, and they'll compare the value of your home to other like properties in the market that are selling, and they'll give you a good indication of what your home is worth. Now, you could be ready to sell now or just a little bit in the future. It really doesn't matter. If you're just curious about what you think you can get for your home right now, they'll be more than happy to do that. Sam's direct number is 401-640-0036. I'll say that again, 401-640-0036. And I'm sure you'll be in very good hands if you call them, because they've been doing this a while, and I look at their sales volume every year, and it's through the roof. So, guys, what are some misconceptions? I mean, you're dealing with people every day. They're calling you on different properties. You're trying to plug buyers into listings. What are some of the misconceptions that you hear that people expect, but it's really really doesn't mean anything. Do you hear anything from a buyer? Like for example, I'll give you an example of one I used to hear all the time when we were coming up on an election. Well, the interest rates are going to change if so-and-so gets in. Or if they get elected, the economy is going to crash and we're going to have a Great Depression. And it never, ever, ever turned out. Do you hear things like that?
Oh, in that case, who could really tell the future? I mean,
Right.
if anybody could, that individual would be one wealthy person.
Exactly.
But I think there's a lot of misconceptions that just happen in pretty much all careers.
Yep.
I think something that's very misleading for especially buyers coming into the real estate market is, at least here locally, they feel that they're not aware that they actually don't have to pay for our services for the most part. I know
that's a good point.
I know some agents do charge for representing buyers, but for the most part, most agents here locally in Rhode Island will provide buyer services in a real estate purchase at no expense to the buyer. So it's good to know. It's very good to know as a buyer.
As people would be reluctant, and of course they're a little embarrassed to ask.
Yes.
That's not something you do every day.
Or maybe ask the wrong person.
Right, right. Yeah, because I know I'm glad you brought that point up, Sam, because out in certain areas of the country, like out in the West Coast, you pay your agents to do the searching for you, and you pay them a fee, and that can be a little expensive. But traditionally, the way the market is out here, the listing company usually pays for the buyer's broker, usually, like you said, and that's really nice for a buyer because they're getting professional advice from people who know the business, and it's not costing them a nickel, right?
They're getting professional advice, and they're getting a professional to look out for their best interests, which I think is very important. A lot of buyers feel that if they go and get represented by the listing agent that represents the listing, that they're going to end up saving some money. But at the end of the day, they're truly not. They're just not getting their own representation.
I see.
And that's advice I give. I'm normally on the listing side.
Right.
So it's nice when a buyer comes up to me and I end up representing him as well in the transaction. But if I was a buyer, I think I would want my own representation.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I agree. How about you, Danielle? Anything just come to mind with investment properties? I know everyone thinks they're going to have an investment property and life's going to be wonderful, and in 6 months they're going to own a Jaguar. And
So I do feel with HGTV having all these shows,
yeah,
there's a lot of people interested in getting into investing in real estate and doing the renovation and the flips because they make it look so easy, right?
right. Yeah, in 20 minutes they go from a wreck to this beautiful
house,
right.
No money, whatever it is. So I do feel like there's a lot of people interested in that, and because that's something that I do, they will come to me and ask for advice. But people forget how much it costs with money, time. Like there's so many resources that go into that. So I do feel like that's a big misconception. Even, that you have to buy the house with a private lender or cash. You can't buy that with the bank. Everyone thinks you can buy it with a bank loan.
Right.
And for the most part, you can't. Yeah, you can do it 2 or 3K, but
exactly
that's a whole
for the
ballgame.
Rehab. They think, and of course the banks send appraisers, and if certain things aren't right in the house, the bank is not going to give the loan, right? Wow.
So I do feel HGTV really sells a dream. So everyone is just.
Yeah, I hate HGTV. I hate Flip and Flop, and the guy with his wife.
So
they ended up
unrealistic.
getting a divorce. So I forget their name. But anyway.
No, I think that's a very good point. That is truly something we bump into in our industry. They should all go take your flipping and investing class. Which you teach a great course. But yeah, they actually HGTV is really not giving them the education that you give in your course.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that plug. That's great. That went on over the
airwaves. I got you, Paul.
For $30, where can you get that kind of? They usually want to sell you books and seminars and everything else. For $30, you get a free education on how to just buy and sell real estate, which is to me is worth it. I would have paid the $30 40 years ago. For that. But
the last time I listened to you host that course was in front of a room full of real estate professionals, and I can't tell you how many people came up to me and told me how knowledgeable it was to them and what they took away from it. So yes, even agents, our professionals in the fields, could take away something from that course. New buyers trying to become investors could definitely learn a lot.
Education is unbelievable in everything we do because, you say, wow, why should I take this course? Because, it's boring. I got to sit there. The way I look at it is if you got to take it anyway, if you can walk out of the room with one pearl of wisdom that you didn't have when you walked in the room, even if it's just one thing, and then you can use it in your business every day, that makes it all worthwhile. I mean, it's just like getting advice from someone who has a lot of experience in something. They can save you shortcuts and time and everything else. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Sam, because that function, NAHREP, right? That was the NAHREP stands for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals.
That was good.
Right?
That's tough to say.
I thought I was going to have to remind him what it meant.
All right. Because you're bilingual, right?
Yes.
You serve the Hispanic community as well, which is great. And I had the fortunate to speak at the NAHREP event a couple of weeks ago at the Providence Marriott, and it was a packed house, and it's fantastic. I guess the NAHREP chapter in Providence is just starting, right? That's just getting going?
Correct. We just launched our Providence chapter. It is a national organization of professionals, and it's professionals who cater and service the Spanish community. Again, national organization. We just opened up our first chapter here in Providence, so it is very fresh. This is our first year. We just launched it in 2019. And looking forward for it to go on continuously. They've had a lot of success nationally. Most states have more than one chapter at this stage. A state like New Jersey, here not too far from us, has 8 chapters in the state of New Jersey.
Wow, that's great.
Massachusetts has 2, and I believe they're looking to open up one more chapter as well.
Because it's a growing market. The Hispanic market is a growing market.
It definitely is a growing market. You're seeing more Hispanic home ownership today than you did in the past.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the program that NAHREP is trying to teach is to educate not so much the end consumer, but the professionals that are really catering to the end consumers. They really want the professionals, the agents, the financial advisors, the CPA, and et cetera, to really educate themselves in their own careers so they could pass that down to the community.
Absolutely flows down.
It flows.
Information flows downward, and everybody benefits from it. It's like a triangle that just goes down.
Exactly. It sounds very basic, but once you implement it and put it in place and you watch the project throughout time, it's working.
Right. And I don't care what minority group you're in, or if you're not even a minority. I mean, I've had people that just didn't have a clue on how you buy a house. I mean, they walk in one day and they walk into my office and say, look, we want to buy a house, but we know absolutely nothing. So you have to educate them on every facet, from the down payment to the mortgage to the inspections to the closing to the how to I remember telling people, all right, now you have this kind of boiler, you're going to empty the boiler every once in a while and get the rusty water out of it and fill it up again. So you have to really, from soup to nuts, and that's really important. The Hispanic community right now being such a large buying block, for lack of a better term, what special needs do you think they need right now in buying? Are there anything? Is it basic? Is it language? Is it help with contracts? Is it what do you think it is?
Definitely language, and not for all Hispanic consumers, but you do have Hispanic consumers that do have that language barrier.
I see.
And if they have that language barrier in terms of communicating, they have it in terms of understanding and reading the legal contracts that they're signing.
Okay.
So it is very intense when you're dealing with a Hispanic consumer who has that language barrier. You got to be very, very thorough and really try to explain all the details that normally you assume that somebody already understands.
Right.
We got to remember that not for the most part, sometimes this is the first time they've seen the process.
Correct.
Some of us might have seen it with our parents. Maybe they saw a friend or a close relative go through the process.
Right.
This might be the first time they go see this process here in the States.
I see.
And so not assuming that they understand the way the whole process works.
And the funny, I read some contracts and I don't understand them. So
I agree.
I can see how that would be a huge barrier, and of course, there's a fear associated with that because we're all taught all of our lives, don't sign anything, look out for the fine print because something can come back on you. Do you find that are there attorneys who specialize in Hispanic closings to close the house for Hispanic individuals, or?
We do have attorneys that do speak Spanish.
Okay.
But very few.
Very few in the state of Rhode Island.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's a lesson for our audience, our legal people that are listening right now. Go out and learn the language. And,
huge demand. There's definitely a huge demand. Yes. With the growing population of Hispanics purchasing home, there really is few Hispanic, or it doesn't have to be Hispanic, but just closing attorneys that speak Spanish.
Really?
And are able to communicate with the consumer.
Wow. And of course, the more basic economics, the more you see a market is in need, the more people will come to fill that need, and then it gets to the point where everybody can do it. It'll just become normal. So special needs. So other than the contracts, and it's funny, you mentioned contracts. I have a pet peeve now with the contracts because we seem, especially with younger people. I'm of the school where I would read the entire contract, as boring as that sounds. I would read that to a buyer or seller, and it's about a half-hour deal. And by the time they've listened to my voice for a half hour, they're ready to sign anything just to have me stop.
Just go.
Right? But I find that we live now, especially in this hurry-up-and-go society, with some of the electronic contracts that they just want to, they don't read them. They just want to go to the sign line, sign, and then find out later if there's a problem. Like I ask everyone, did you read your Apple iPhone agreement the last time your phone did a download, or did you actually read the 90 pages of your Microsoft Windows agreement? Well, no. Everyone, I haven't met anyone that's read the Microsoft. What you do is you slide down to the bottom, you check off a box, and you say, I accept, and then you move on. Then you find out later, ooh, they have the right to do that, and they have a right to do this. I didn't know that. Well, I should have read the contract. So I would think that not only coupled with that problem with the real estate contracts, you have this hurry up and go. So if you throw a language barrier in on top of that, that could eventually be a kind of a problem, right?
Yeah, it always is a concern that they don't understand what they're signing, that they're not taking the time to read. And you're right, with the electronic signatures today, something I practice because I know that most of the time they're just signing. It's just too easy to electronically sign and then forget about the document and it's sitting in your email somewhere. So with the electronic signature, most of the times you have the option of also including it as a PDF file, and I will ask them, did you download the file? I want them to.
Right.
If they didn't read it, there's only so much I can do.
Right.
But did you download the file so you kept one in your desktop or in your download folder on your computer or phone, anywhere that is. So you'll have it on your e-file, and I want you to also have a hard copy of the PDF that you put somewhere.
So, but you're always in a position if they ask you, hey, Sam, Danielle, can we get together and talk about this? You're in a position to...
Always.
That's what makes your team unique. Because
always. You want to be... If there's a concern with one of our clients, we want to try to address it. And if it's something as simple as they're just not understanding a certain part, then yes, I want to address it. A lot of times, as you know, we're emailing, we're texting. The last resort is actually a phone call for some of our clients. Just yesterday, I had a client ask me a question, and we were conversating through text message. She asked me a serious question. I said, call me. I want to make sure that this information gets delivered properly and you actually understand what we're going to discuss.
That's good.
So I'll get them on the phone, if not in person. But,
I see. Wow, that's great. Now, once you do that, let's say you meet that buyer for the first time, right? Just cold. It's a cold situation. They called you on a house, and Danielle, you interview them, you ask them some questions. What's the typical process, Danielle, that you do with a buyer like that first time they call you? Is there a certain format that you use
Before they look at houses?
Yeah, before they look at houses, and even after? Is there a certain like do you interview them kind of thing, either on the phone or in person? What do you do with these folks?
So I'll do on the phone, and sometimes there'll be an in-person meeting at the office. Sometimes it'll just be at the first house that we go look at, which I know is not great for safety.
Right.
But on the phone, it is a little bit of an interview because I'm just finding out their needs and wants, and I always explain that they're narrowing the search down.
I see. So you basically go you want to find out what financially how much they qualify for, and then you start asking the questions about 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms and pink garages and all this other good stuff.
Yeah, and a big thing that I do is, because buyers are very specific in what they want, probably because of HGTV that they're watching.
Right.
But I always tell them, they want the 3 beds with 1.5 baths. We can fit a half bath anywhere.
Right.
In a closet, you
Right.
know that. So I'm like, anything that can easily be changed, I hear you, and I have it on your list.
That's huge.
I hear you, I have it on your list, but I'm not going to narrow your MLS search by something that can easily be changed.
Very good. Very good.
Location's
Right.
important. The house, for the most part, is important. Yard space, things like that. But those changeable things, the kitchen, I don't care that the kitchen is hideous. We can change it. I have a kitchen guy, I'll hook you up.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's huge, because it gives so many more opportunities for that buyer, in their price range. Because think about it, there's only so many houses in a certain price range. And, I've had buyers where it had to meet that exact thing that they were telling me. And, eventually we found them something, but they were so limited, well, Paul, I want to be on a cul-de-sac, and it's going to be 4 beds, it's going to be on 3 acres, it's got to be a quiet street, and it's got to be in this school district at this amount of money. And you say, oh my God, how many of those houses even exist in that town?
Exactly.
So you have to wait. So that's great that you can convert them over.
I have a buyer similar to that right now. They are very specific, but I've just really loosened up their search to help them find something, because they want to close by the end of the year.
Really?
It's November 16th?
Wow.
So I just say, listen, I hear your specifics, but we're going to loosen this to help find something, and we can make the changes.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't want to condense their search too aggressively. Like you mentioned earlier, by condensing it too much, you might miss out on the opportunity of the house you like.
Right.
In the last case, the clients went out and found the home that they wanted outside of your search. But sometimes we would just completely miss the boat.
I see.
So yes, we do want to be specific, but we don't want to be so specific that we could be losing out on a great opportunity.
No, that makes perfect sense. I like that, actually. I like that about because sometimes a good lawyer obviously will listen to their clients, but a good lawyer is smart enough to know that their client is not the lawyer; they are the lawyer. So in a way, we have to do the same thing. Your job is to bring not only
guidance,
what they're looking for, but create opportunities, and that may create another opportunity that they may not have thought of, right?
Exactly. Just remembering that we're the professional. That's like Sam just used the word guidance. We're the professional giving the guidance. They're telling us what they want, but we're gonna do our part to get them there.
Okay,
Exactly.
It's up to them to decide at that point.
Exactly. It's our job to deliver. Whether that house was perfectly created for them or not, we might be able to adjust the home and make it what you're looking for.
Yeah. And that happens so often in our business. And I go back to again one of my experiences years ago. I had some folks that were numerologists, and they were looking for a house, and they couldn't have a 1 or a 0 in the address.
Okay.
Not only could it not have a 1 and a 0, it couldn't be a multiple of 10. So like 64 Elm Street, 6 plus 4 equals 10.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, and of course they had this whole other list of things that had to go along with the house number. And I finally found the perfect house for them, and it was 1001, and I won't say the street. But I went out to the house, and I looked, and I saw that out in this particular community, the numbers didn't go like every two. Like the next house wasn't 999 and then 997 or 1003. They would jump like 10 numbers in between. So I went to the local town and I asked the 911 people, would they change that number from 1001 to 999? And they said, well, yeah, as long as they come in and sign a form, because the next house down was 989 or something. So there is the case, therein lies the point of and I called the buyers and I said, look, it's 1001 now, but
I'm going to fix that for you.
And they went there and they absolutely loved it. They're still there. And they've been in that house for 25 years. So I agree with you. Sometimes you're thinking out of the box for them, basically, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense?
Yeah, and it's your industry. You're knowledgeable, so you know what you can do and can't do. They might not. They might have had no idea that they were able to change that number. Right. You knew. Look, good thing for you that you were savvy enough to get that done for them.
Or dumb enough to even ask.
Right? Yes, hey, it's important to ask.
Wow, that's great. All right, well, so we got about 9 minutes to go. Time is flying by here on Real Estate Pro Talk. So we're going to take another quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
Real Estate Pro Talk is a live radio talk show dedicated to educating its listeners on the entire spectrum of real estate matters. Part of the American dream is owning a home or investment property, or perhaps even becoming a real estate agent yourself. Paul Vanas and his team of real estate professionals have over 250 combined years of experience in the industry. In other words, we can make it happen for you. Why go down the road less traveled when we can put you directly on the real estate superhighway? Whether buying or selling in today's complicated real estate market, or if you just need advice about jumping into the real estate business for a career change, you'll need a decisive edge based on experience. Call Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144 for a free, no-obligation consultation. That's Paul Vanas at 401-265-6144.
Okay, we are back. Real Estate Pro Talk. My name is Paul Vanas. Welcome back, and we're here with Danielle and Sam Alba, or the Alba team with HomeSmart Real Estate. The Alba team is a fairly large team. I mean, you got 15 agents, and, all over the place. I'm sure your agents are out scattering as you kind of hope that they're out right now selling houses, right?
We're covering most of the state in Massachusetts as well.
Massachusetts, too.
So we're posted on every exit.
Wow, that's coverage. Tell me, guys, and either one of you can take this question, because we have a lot of real estate people that listen to the show, and sometimes they pick up tips to help them in their business. How do you stay in contact with your past clients? So in other words, you sell somebody a house, everybody's happy, you go to the closing, kisses, hugs, keys, the whole 9 yards. How do you continue that relationship? Is there any special formula you use?
So, I mean, we all do that standard automated system with a newsletter that no one reads. But
everybody reads mine.
No one reads the newsletter. So, for me, I really like the personal touch.
Okay.
And I had learned in a training years ago that the relationship actually starts at closing.
Okay.
And when you factor that in and remember that, you'll move forward with it. So I am big on social media. I follow my clients on social media. So when they have a baby, I'm stopping by, or I'm sending a card, or sending a gift. Little touches like that. Last year, I did apple pies around Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So just little touches like that. Client appreciation events.
Yes, well, as a team, we'll host client appreciation events.
Wow.
Invite, and we'll break it up. It's a large group, so we'll cater to different clients
depending on
the event and so on.
Wow.
But and not to interrupt, Danielle was going out of, you're doing a fine job, but go ahead.
No, go ahead, take it over.
But the different touches in terms of, it's great to, besides the newsletter, Danielle said, in emails and text messages and sending them happy birthdays. A phone call every once in a while is nice, just to see how they're doing. Mm-hmm. If you're swinging by, just to visit them, especially if they don't live out of your way.
Right.
But it is good for you to definitely just build a routine. of time blocking in your schedule and your busy career to just stay in touch with your past clients.
Right.
And even your current clients. One of the number one complaints about current clients is that my agent doesn't communicate with me.
Okay.
So,
Right.
make that part of a strong part of your practice,
Right.
communicating during the process and after the process.
That makes sense.
And there's tons of programs, CRM programs that help agents just stay in touch with their clients. You got to find one that really fits your needs.
That's so important because we get caught up in our day-to-day activity, and one of my hokey stories. I had a good friend, who worked for a car dealership here in Rhode Island, and one day I needed a car, and I said, well, let me go down and see this Mike. So I drove down to Warwick, and I got out of the car, and right in front of the dealership there was this gorgeous car, and someone came out and said, oh, you like the car? I said, oh, this is great. And I forgot all about Mike. I literally said to my wife a few minutes before, let's go down and see Mike. And now here I am with this other salesperson driving the car around for a test drive. And it's like, oh, my God, what happened to Mike?
Yeah.
So that happens. Yeah. And I remember an old statistic that I learned in Dale Carnegie years ago. There used to be 6 times equals 62% retention. In other words, you have to contact someone, or they have to hear your name 6 times before they remember you 62% of the time. 62 is closer to 50. It's like half and half. Yeah. So you're really contacting them during the year to get that high number up, right?
You really have, besides performing, you really have to stay top of mind. As soon as a client or individual thinks real estate, you want to be on top of their mind. And if you haven't reached out to them, you said you forgot about Mike in 10 seconds after looking at the car.
Right.
So if you haven't reached out to that past client or in the past month or so, they could easily forget about you.
Absolutely.
Especially if they just bumped into another sales rep,
Right.
another realtor.
They scooped me,
Yeah.
it was away you go.
And I do feel if you reach out more personally, it's a stronger effect. If you do 6 touches through newsletters and emails, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But even if you just do 3, like I send an apple pie. Another thing I do this time of year, once it starts to snow, I'll reach out. Hey, do you want my plow guy to come by?
Right.
He charges this much. Just being resourceful.
Nice.
Those are a little more personal, and I feel like those are a stronger touch. So that's why I love those. They take a little more work, yes.
Right.
They take a lot more work, but I think depending on how you practice in your real estate career, that could be easier.
Wow.
I know certain agents have a harder time with it because of how they practice in their business.
Wow.
I know Danielle, and I'll speak for myself as well. When we're going through this home buying process with our clients, we end up developing a strong relationship with these clients.
Wow.
I really do. Where at one point, I can't tell you how many times, like once closing happened, after a week, they said, I was used to speaking to you every day. What happened? How you been, Sam?
Right.
So
we become friends.
You become friends in a way. You're good acquaintances. So it's easier for us to just pop in, give a casual phone call, because at the end of the day, we ended up building a strong relationship when working with them.
That makes perfect sense. Wow, we only have about a minute left, and boy, we can go on together for at least another half hour.
I think all I know how to talk about is real estate. Yeah, right. So that's all I know how to speak about.
We got to get you back. I promise we're going to have Danielle and Sam Alba back here at some point in the future to continue the conversation. While we got 45 seconds, do you want to give the audience your contact information?
45 seconds would be quick. Paul, thank you again for bringing us on the show. It's amazing. I truly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If anybody wants to contact me, my contact number is 401-640-0036.
That's great. Email?
SAMUEL.ALB as in boy A @YMAIL.com. Samuel.alba@ymail.com.
ymail.com. Very good. Well, thank you for listening today. And again, the Alba team is offering a free market analysis to anyone who is interested in finding out what their home is worth. And they'll be more than happy to come by and tell you all about it. So until then, we'll see you next week on Real Estate Pro Talk.